And then we have Councilor Stone.
So I just want to give people and the audience a quick information update on Metro Vancouver and some pretty big initiatives that they've undertaken. The big one is called Experience the Fraser project, and what it is a park and trail system that's going to start at Hope and go all the way along the Fraser River and Fraser Valley area and make its way out to the mouth of the Fraser. The project is probably going to take about 100 years to complete. They've just recently done a park dedication between right at the edge of Metro Vancouver going into what's called the Fraser Valley Regional District. So essentially between Abbotsford and Chilliwack. It's an incredible project when you see a lot of the different things that they have planned. People are going to, it's going to be essentially a park and boardwalk system that's going to take you all along interesting parts of the Fraser. When I was at LMLGA a couple of weeks ago, I managed to purloin copies of the Experience the Fraser brochure, so I've got one for everybody and have a look at it in your leisure. And the second thing that
can I just ask you before you go too much further?
Sure.
There is something called the Canada Trail.
Yep.
Just right across Canada States.
Across Canada Trail.
Across Canada Trail.
Yeah.
Trans-Canada.
Yes.
Trans-Canada.
No, it's okay.
Does that fit into anything here?
No, it's completely independent. The Trans-Canada Trail, I don't know this for a fact. It's a good question, and I'll ask at the next committee meeting whether or not it intersects at any point with
HAC intersects.
Yes, it does.
Pardon me?
It does intersect.
You're a fast reader.
No, he just opened that page.
I know it's funded by contributions.
Pardon me?
They say I know it's funded by contributions because
yeah.
There is already some Trans-Canada Trail along the trail. I think when the plans were first being talked about, they were going to try and utilize that as much as possible. And so they didn't have two competing trails.
So last week I went out to the dedication of the Sumas Mountain Regional Park, and we went up to this summit where you could see all the way from Bellingham all the way over to Lasqueti Island, essentially, like up on this hill. It was just spectacular. Yeah, it was amazing. And like Abbotsford, obviously, and Mission, and it was like this incredible 270-degree panorama from way up. And there's some really amazing parks down there. There's the one that I went out to Mission this weekend and went to the Matsqui Trail Park on my own, and fabulous park, and it's the only problem with it is it's right across from the Mission Speedway, so the noise from the drag racing is just unbelievable. But anyway, so that's an unfortunate thing with that park. The environment staff have put out this is the second thing I want to talk about. What this called Caring for the Air Metro Vancouver 2012 report, and it talks about problems with pollution in the Fraser Valley and Metro Vancouver area, including Bowen, and gives people a really good understanding of the problems that we have with particulate matter and ground level ozone and stuff like that in the air, and there's some pretty surprising information in here. I don't know if people know this, but smog is made up of largely of ground level ozone that gets activated in the summertime, and what happens is a lot of the crap that's developed in Metro Van gets carted out into the Fraser Valley, and Abbotsford and Chilliwack have like just off the scale problems with smog in the summertime, and Vancouver can be completely clean. So anyway, they talk about some of that in here, and it's worth a read, and I'll just pass it to
the other interesting thing about the air going up the valley, which I think the Metro Government of Canada air quality people, the salt that gets carried all the way up the valley from the ocean ends up mixing with the from being purified and gets, I think that's what creates ammonia, or, so there's all sorts of interesting,
There's one other thing that was brought up to me last week. You know, why are we in Metro Vancouver as a regional district? Why are we just with the Islands Trust, or why are we not in Metro, only in Metro Vancouver and not the Islands Trust? Anyway, part of that conversation was that Metro Vancouver, we're stuck with Metro Vancouver rules pertaining to things like burning. And burning for us is not a problem. We've been doing it for centuries, actually, on Bowen Island. And it was never a problem in West Van and in North Van in the early years. I mean, now we're talking historical. But today, of course, it's a big problem. And the problem is not ours. The problem's in the valley.
Yeah.
And we're stuck with something like, I mean, everybody says, well, air quality, we have to worry about this and that, specifically burning on this island.
Yeah.
And it's only because of the Metro Vancouver. It's not because we haven't done it for a long time, and we've never had a problem, because the wind sort of blows it away.
but there are some days when there's burning, and I've driven home during it, and even up towards our way, and I couldn't see on the right.
I'm sure there are with, if it's dead air, you know, there are problems, but generally speaking, there are no problems, and we're stuck with rules from that govern an urban center as opposed to a rural center, which Bowen is.
Although, you know what, the Metro Vancouver rules, they do have rural designation for burning and so on, and we are not captive. Like, there are two sets of rules in terms of what you're allowed to do in the urban containment area and then the rural area. And so I think the information you got is not quite bang on in terms of, like, we're not bound in terms of the burning restrictions. As far as being allowed to burn, we're allowed to burn. It just costs an arm and a leg to burn.
Yeah, but because you need to get the permits, and the permits come from Metro Vancouver, and Metro Vancouver is going to bop it up because they don't want any burning, because they don't want any pollution. So, you know, it's sort of a,
But air quality,
you know,
I think,
goes, the whole thing goes around. And
I'll get the fee structure for you, because it's been explained to me on a high level that
it's on your website.
We are not bound by the identical rules that Metro Vancouver is. So there are two sets of rules, one for rural and one for, because they recognize that burning, when you disperse smoke in a rural area, it doesn't have as great an impact as you do when you do it in an urban setting, because you have that compounding effect, right? So anyway, I'll get that information.
And I don't think our rules are as stringent as what they've got in the Sunshine Code.
No, I'm not sure about that. But in any event, can I segue into something?
Yeah, I'm done. Thanks.
Well, I had a couple.
Councilor Morse had an item with BC Ferries.
I just wanted to clarify that the chairman or the president or CEO of BC Ferries was interviewed on CBC the other morning, and people have misinterpreted his comments. They are still planning on going ahead with the LNG conversion project for the Queen of Catalina, but during the 2014-15 major midlife refit timeframe. So I just wanted to clarify that. And then there was my question that I asked about the grant application and where it's at.
Sorry, the grant, oh, yes.
Not yours.
Not the gas tax?
Yeah, the gas tax.
Yeah. We're in the final stages. It's due on Thursday. I'm hoping to submit it on Wednesday. Just met this morning with Kathy and Karen to talk about the numbers, the financial piece of it. I'm waiting for some responses from people I've asked to review it. Including Councilors Winston Jennings for some parts that are specifically due to development process, etc., for the implementation.
So what are we actually asking for in this, in the initial paragraph, that clause that says briefly describe in one paragraph your project?
Well, that was, it's actually one or two paragraphs. What we have at this point is, okay, here, to create an implementation plan that will see construction started on building a diversity of housing options in Snug Cove, Bowen Island, on municipally owned land by the spring of 2014. Bowen Island Municipal Housing Corporation, working in a private-public partnership with local investors, developers, will, with advice and assistance from staff, council, and planning consultants, develop the implementation plan based on the principles of incremental growth, community financing, and fiscal conservatism. Diversity of housing was identified in the municipality's OCP update, sustainability framework report, housing needs assessment report, and affordable housing working group report as a prerequisite for socio-economic diversity and long-term sustainability. We will continue to see our social diversity endangered if we cannot provide housing to answer the needs of renters, seniors downsizing, singles, service industry workers, and low-income families.
So we're applying for a planning board, basically, to develop the
An
plan.
implementation plan.
I would, having said that, I think we would need a new council resolution, because we need a resolution of council support for this grant application. I noticed that on, and the one that we have was originally to do with more the infrastructure for the water. So I would
No,
suggest.
the one we have is the Bowen Island Municipal Councilors decided to be instructed to draft the application for a grant under the federal government tax grants to provide funding for a comprehensive sustainability plan initiative based on the sustainability framework working group reports to inform the preparation of an RFP for Snug Cove. You see, that's where that's different. With particular emphasis on housing diversity for approval by council no later than May 28, 2012.
Well, I would
That's a
suggest
mouthful.
we have a resolution that council support the gas tax grant for the grant application for the,
Under the gas tax agreement's general strategic priorities fund or innovations fund.
Yeah, so
for the project,
innovation-
whatever
It's
the
for the
project's called.
innovation.
What's the same?
How many millions are we asking for?
I think it'll probably be a total of 140,000, and hopefully we'll have 100 of that will be the actual grant.
What's
So,
the-
so we're asking for 140, expecting 100.
Well, we're asking for 140, yeah, expecting 100 for the grant, and then 40 will come over 2012 and 2015. probably.
Well, no, but the
From the
grant
same place.
application's got a fund amount in it, is it,
100,000.
it's 100,000.
100,000 for grant application, yeah.
And what's the other
Project.
40 for?
Well, the other costs that might be involved
After.
And where do we
in
get,
an 11-month process, implementation plan, considering we'll need planning consultants.
Well,
and
why are we
perhaps
asking for
engineers.
140 then?
because the limit's 100.
No.
Well, we were advised to ask for 100.
We were initially thinking way less than 100, and then you were talked up to 100.
Yeah.
But then the question is, where does the other $40,000 come
Well, it's
from?
not a matching fund grant, so it just shows that we have, that if
Some
we do get
money
the
set
grant,
aside.
that this is something that we want to pursue and we would have.
No, I guess my
Like, the
concern
40,000
is,
is made up of staff time equivalencies and.
which they don't have any of,
Would say what?
don't have any available of. I guess my concern was, and why I wanted to know where we were at with it, was when we went and applied for the sewer grant, we all of a sudden found ourselves having to come up with a huge amount of money, which we really hadn't figured out where it was gonna come from. And so, I'm no problem at all applying for 100,000 if that's all we're gonna spend, but if by applying 100, we now gotta come up with $40,000
No.
to spend on other things, or $40,000 worth of staff time, and we don't have a lot of available staff time, then how are we gonna provide that staff time? And then we've got more dollars we have to spend.
I would suggest we cross that bridge when we get there.
I think too.
And I think that was the intent. It's not that we have to show that funding as matching
No,
funding on the grant.
So-
I think the idea is if we get the grant, then we have to work out a more detailed budget. And part of that is how much of the staff resources would it require. So we were just sort of throwing around numbers this morning for what we could perceive if we did get this grant, what the impacts may be in the future. And then of course we'd be coming forward to council. But it's not like the sewer grant where we had to put in our 1/3 share.
But if we get the 100, we don't necessarily have to spend.
No,
more.
you just heard that, Alice.
That's all
Okay.
I wanna know is that if we get
I
the
know,
100,
we know.
all we have to spend is
Thank you.
100, we don't have to spend any of our
So
own money.
I want to do, just briefly,
Sorry,
Oh.
we just need need the resolution of
we
support.
do need to,
Yes, because we need to send a certified copy of the resolution along with the application. I
so,
can't remember what else.
Alison, do you want to move it? No.
No.
Can we
You want-
reread the resolution, please? If possible.
Great.
I thought the first part of it, but
No, I just sort of
Maybe we just have it.
Yeah.
The council support an application for the Innovations Fund with,
The gas tax agreements, general,
it's the Innovations Fund.
innovations fund.
For up to
2012.
$100,000 for, and what is the first
For
line?
implementation plan for
The development of an
provide
implementation plan. for-
diversity of housing and options in.
If council's comfortable with that, Casey and I can look at the
Okay.
specific wording, what the titles are.
Second?
I'm not moving that.
No, I know.
Oh, he moved it, okay.
Second?
Okay, I'll second.
I'm not-
Thank you. Any further questions? All those in favor? Thank you.